we debate this question. We're debating it in Washington now as to how powerful the federal government should be. That's what American politics is all about. And they set the terms, especially during the great turmoil of ratification.
Winter, 1788. Special conventions are called in the states to approve or reject the new Constitution. If 9 states ratify, the Constitution will become the law of the land, but it is clear that this will be an uphill battle. The first real test is in Massachusetts.
The majority of the delegates that went to the Massachusetts ratifying convention were probably opposed to it. Their towns had debated the federal constitution. They decided it went too far. This was no good. And the delegates are going to have to go back and live with their towns. So they come in instructed to vote against. The Federalists say, but let's talk about this a while. And they debated provision by provision, and the Federalists are extremely skilled debaters. They're able to explain an awful lot. For example, a Senate with a 6-year term. Who heard of such an outrageous thing as a 6-year term? In Massachusetts, all office holders were elected every year. Where annual elections end, tyranny begins. That was the slogan. Well, the Federalists said, you know, the Senate's a little different than institutions you're used to. It has to deal with foreign affairs. People elected to the Senate won't have a lot of experience. You need some time in office to exercise the responsibilities of the Senate responsibly. Okay, next point. And then the Federalists have come up with another argument. So one unanswerable objection after another was being answered by Federalist opponents. At a certain point in the Massachusetts Convention, the anti-Federalists realize they're being outdebated. They say, oh, what's the point of this anyway? Let's just vote it down and go home. And at that point, Samuel Adams, who'd been very quiet, he was not a good speaker. He had a lisp. He says, this isn't something we should rush. This is very important. I came here to learn, and I find I'm learning more every day. We should continue this debate. We shouldn't simply have the vote.
The Federalists defend the Constitution clause by clause. They make each detail of the plan seem reasonable. But they have no answer for the anti-Federalists' biggest worry, that the proposed government will be simply too big and too powerful. The Constitution spells out the rights of government. Where, ask the anti-Federalists, is a similar listing of the basic rights of individuals? A Bill of Rights protecting ordinary citizens against this all-powerful government.
Our rights to a jury trial, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly. This is the true stuff of liberty. These inalienable rights that cannot be touched by any government. Without these guarantees, we might as well just appoint ourselves a king and take lessons in the art of bowing low.
This objection is answered by Federalists like Noah Webster.
I can understand a Bill of Rights to prevent kings and barons from encroaching on the rights of the people, but I don't see why we need a Declaration of Rights to protect us from our own elected legislature. In this new government, a Bill of Rights is absurd. It prevents what? Our own encroachments against ourselves?
Why not have a Bill of Rights? Why not a short document saying our rights are preserved? Are you worried that it will use up too much paper?
Liberty is not protected by parchment barriers. It is the very system of this new government which will protect us. Government is separated into different branches, each with a different mode of election and each having different powers. Ambition will be made to counteract ambition.
In the end, both sides are victorious. the Constitution is ratified by the states and becomes the law of the land. And